sassafras tree. That looks like it. Nope. Do that smell check. Smells like root beer. You'll know you got the right root then. There we go. That's gotta be it right there. Oh yeah. Just gonna take a little bit of the root bark. That's probably all you need right there. This is Persea borbonia, or red bay. Looking for some sweet gum, low-hanging branches. Ooh. Yeah, all right. That's one of the ingredients I'm after. I'm gonna make some caveman glue, and I'm gathering some ingredients for an antimicrobial tea. Wow. Look at that resin. This is going to be highly productive. This is sweet gum, and I'm after those buds on the end of the twigs. Sweet gum contains shikimic acid, which is a precursor to the medication Tamiflu, so it's antiviral. This is wax myrtle. This plant is very useful, and it's also got antimicrobial properties. You can boil the berries if you can find enough of them, and the wax from the berries will float to the surface of the water, and you can let the water cool, and you just kind of pick up this disc of wax, and then you can melt it and make it into candles, and it's already scented. It smells great. This is broadleaf plantain. It has anti-inflammatory properties, antimicrobial properties, a lot of vitamins and stuff in it. So it contains beta carotene, which is good for your eyes, vitamin A. There's some dandelion. So always keep your eyes open for any opportunity. And that's a liver tonic. Some more dandelion, little bitty young leaves, which this time of the year the leaves aren't as potent as they could be because the plants are focusing more on the root system right now. Some black walnut. It's got antioxidant flavonoids in it and some other beneficial compounds. So rounded that out and poked a hole in the bottom. This one's getting buried. This will catch all the resin. I'll dig a hole and stack them like that. Cut the bottom off of a soda can and drop it down there in the can, and then your glue won't get stuck in there. You can pull this out and let it cool off, and all of the glue will be on this. The reason you want to bury that bottom can is so that your resin doesn't just boil off. It'll be much cooler down there. And I'm going to pack some dirt on top of the can to seal it up. We're going to do a yucca fireboard and a smilax spindle. This is the Swiss Tech Halt Bar. It's not good for whittling or carving. This is a chopping and splitting knife. We'll switch to the Mora. It's got a little curve to it, but I don't think it's that bad. Still worth trying. If you do want to use the tip of your knife for carving, you can use your thumb to push it. So round it off like that. Point on the other end. One of my viewers asked me what kind of knot was this on the end of my bow, and what I did was I drilled a hole through it, and then I made this little notch up here. This is how it works. The string goes through the back, and then this will go under here. Just goes right under the bowstring, and then it'll come up in the notch, and then back in here. And nothing is tied, it's just mechanical, it's just pressure. Or when you put the spindle in the bow, it pulls down on that piece of rope and it locks it. It's not going anywhere. That's how that works. So that makes it much easier to adjust. I'll just push some of the string through and then pull it from over here and then pull it back down through here. As simple as that. Could definitely use smilax vine. Then I'm just gonna sort of lead the fire around it. So I've already got this can here with the dirt piled up on it. Instead of making a pot hook, I'm just gonna sit my tea kettle right on top of it. Sassafras root bark, broadleaf plantain, wax myrtle, red gum buds, and black walnut. That way, Frana. Over there. Over there. That'll take a while to find. So I'm gonna let that steep for about 15 or 20 minutes. Now you don't want to get this can, the one with the material in it, too hot, because the resin won't have time to drip to the bottom and in the other container before it just vaporizes, turns into smoke. Got some feathers from my chickens. Now we're gonna get a stalk of switch cane. The botanical name for switch cane is Arundinaria tecta. We need one big enough to make an arrow out of. Plenty of really small stuff. I'm trying to find one about the diameter of my pinky, which is actually pretty hard to do. See a tall one? There we go. Perfect. Starting to get the materials together. Here's a small piece of dogbane. I only need a little bit of cordage, so this should do it. Depending on what I'm doing with it, like if I absolutely need all of the fibers I can, I won't do what I'm about to show you. But something small like this, where I only need a little piece and it's really not that big of a deal, I'm just gonna go ahead and scrape this outer bark off. You want to use the back of the knife, and you don't want to put a whole lot of pressure on it. You just want to knock that really paper thin bark right off the outside. If it starts to get really fuzzy, you're bearing down too hard. You're just kind of letting the weight of the knife almost do it. And that's what you're looking for. So if this is the back of the arrow, you don't want to be on this side of that ring right there. You want to go on the back side of it, because right here is a pretty much a disc that goes all the way through it, and it's really tough right there. So I'm going to come away from that about 1/4 of an inch, and then I'm going to press down on it and score it all the way around like that. Then it'll just snap off. Clean break. If you don't score it, this is what happens to it. It'll splinter, and that's useless. So Arundinaria tecta, or switch cane, is not toxic, so you can use this for making a few different things, including food implements like chopsticks, forks. But one of my favorite things to make out of it is a bombisha, or a filtering straw. You want a disc on the end that's going into the water, and then I'm going to cut a series of slots that barely puncture through it. Like that. And there'll be 4 or 5 of them. Then you don't have to strain your tea. Good. And good for you. Tastes like bitter root beer tea. All right, I'm gonna start prepping these feathers. The glue that I'm making in there is not going to be what really holds this on the arrow. I mean, it'll help, but I think the whole purpose of it is to hold the feathers in place while you're tying them onto the shaft, and we'll be using dogbane for that. Here's the TV glass arrowhead that I made. This is the Swiss Tech multi-tool. It's not quite a Leatherman. It was only $50, but it's also not a piece of junk, so it's somewhere right in the middle. It's got a file on both sides too, so it makes it perfect for doing this, because you can sort of shave some away and shave some away this way just by pressing or pulling. You want it to be snug, but you don't want to jam it down in there. You want to make a good receptacle for it. It's pretty flat on one side, it's very flat on this side, and then it's got like a lump here, so I'm trying to match that shape by carving a little belly out for it. Started sprinkling. So I like to put a bowling knot in one end. And a taut line hitch in the other end. So there's 6 lines for this tarp. I'll take 3 of them and I'll coil them up together, do a figure 8 around my fingers. That way when you toss it out, it doesn't get tangled up. I like to just use these tensioning pieces of plastic as a stop, so I don't have to put a knot in it on this side. Then I just put a taut line hitch in the tent stake. And once this fire has died down, rake all of this stuff out of the way before you open it. I don't want any trash, it makes it more difficult to work with. So I'll dig down until I can see that rim of the next can. That way I know when I remove it, nothing can fall in there. Ooh, beautiful. Oh yeah. I want some of these ashes too. I feel like adding the ashes helps it. Here's a simple way to make a ladle. Something like that. And what I'm gonna need to do is cook this glue a little bit longer with the coal mixed in. Think about it like hard candy, like how it's made. It's brought to a specific temperature before it gets brittle. Right now it's like really resinous. You want it to bubble. Now I'm going to let it sit there for a little while and cool off and see if it's good. Once it cools, you'll be able to touch it and nothing comes off on your finger. Yep, that's what I'm looking for. You can start doing this kind of stuff without knowing how to do every single step. I was practicing making arrows and stuff with purchased arrowheads. You can find them usually out in the mountains. There'll be little native gift shops and things, and you can just buy some arrowheads and practice making them. You don't have to know how to knap flint or glass or anything. You can start with what you got. not bad. Now I'm going to put a glob of glue down in there and make sure this is seated on it, and then I'll start with the dogbane. Now the dogbane has been scraped, and you're just going to pinch it till it pops, and it'll split into 4 pieces. It'll go all the way down. Now I'm going to turn it 90 degrees and pinch it the other way. Pick one and run my finger down it. Be careful with this, sometimes you can get a splinter. Okay, I'm just going to break one of those away best I can, and then with the bark, the fibers facing down, you'll pop this and just peel it back and just keep going. Sometimes I will start at this end and work it loose a little bit and then pop it, and then it gets more fibers off. And the smaller the pieces you do, the more the fiber will stay where it's supposed to be. The less likely it is to peel off with the bark. You don't want to burn this stuff and inhale the smoke either. It's a pretty toxic plant, especially when it's fresh. Now that strip of bark right there is very strong. Let me get another one. See how it's getting thin? If I keep pulling it, a lot of the fiber will stick to that piece of bark. That's why I try to start from the other direction to keep that from happening. And if you do it this way, you don't have to worry about trying to get that bark off of there, because you've already got, you know, 90-95% of it off. But the usual method is to peel it and you'll leave the bark on, and then you'll pinch it between your fingers and work it back and forth, and the bark will fall off. But it won't all fall off. There'll be a lot of little pieces stuck in there, and that creates friction within the line, and it'll cause it to break prematurely. Okay, I got 2 pretty good strips. They're both almost the same length. I'm just going to tie a knot in this side, and we'll twist them up. There's 1,000 videos on YouTube about how to twist line up, so. I just gotta get this heated up and mashed into the dogbane cordage. There you have it. Now let's get the feathers on. I'm going to use the thinner, stickier resin for this. If you lick your finger first, the resin won't stick to your finger. Just gonna get a strip of dogbane. I'm not gonna twist it up because I want it to wrap around it nice and flat. I'm gonna rub ashes all over that. Now I'm gonna put a band in the middle. Just gonna cut that off right there. It's not a work of art or anything, but it'll work. I'm Jonathan, and this is Southwoods Outdoor Adventure. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.